Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive.
Always.
Today we're heading to Japan. A case that, well, it kind of shook the world.
Yeah, a real tragedy.
Lindsay Hawker, young English teacher,
Yeah.
disappeared. And the whole thing. More twists and turns than a mystery novel.
You said it.
We got a ton of stuff to go through. Articles, interviews, even parts of the book by, well,
By the man convicted.
yeah, heavy stuff. But that's what these deep dives are for, right?
I get into the bottom of it all.
Exactly. And this one, I think it shows something like about different cultures,
Oh, absolutely. How justice works. How tough it can be in a foreign system. All that.
Lindsay's family, man, they really fought for her. Didn't let her case get buried.
True strength, right there.
Okay, so rewind with me. March 2007. Chiba, Japan. Lindsay, she's 22, bright, came all the way from Coventry, England,
Love Japan.
head over heels, teaching English, living her dream, close to her family, had good friends there.
Important to remember that, right? She was a person, not just a victim.
A whole life.
Mm.
Okay, so picture this. Lindsay's locking her bike at the station. Totally normal day, right?
Yeah.
This guy comes up to her, Tatsuya Ichihashi. Out of nowhere, he goes, "You are my English teacher."
Whoa.
Lindsay's like, what? Never seen him before in her life.
Already creepy, right?
Total red flag.
Hmm.
And it gets worse. He follows her all the way back to her apartment. She tries to shake him, but he's persistent.
Like, not taking the hint at all?
Nope. So they get to her building. He asks for a glass of water. Lindsay, she's being polite, lets him in.
I mean, she had roommates, so maybe she felt a bit safer.
Yeah, maybe.
Still, though, shows how easily, someone can take advantage of kindness.
For sure. So he gets his water, then throws a curveball. Offers to pay Lindsay for English lessons, like private ones.
Interesting.
And the rate he offered. Not bad, especially for, well, someone traveling. Could be tempting.
Ah, see, that's where the manipulation starts,
Do
maybe.
you think so?
Playing on her need to earn some extra cash, her passion for teaching, trying to gain her trust.
It gets weirder. He sketches Lindsay's portrait, writes his name, number, the whole bit.
Like, trying to seem harmless, right? Familiar.
Exactly. Building a facade. But we know now his intentions were, well, anything but harmless.
Classic tactic in these kinds of cases, sadly.
So they agree to meet. A coffee shop a few days later, Saturday, March 24th.
Got it.
There's CCTV footage of the lesson. Lindsay seems on edge, keeping her distance. End of the lesson, Ichihashi pulls the forgot my wallet routine.
Oh, no.
Asks Lindsay to come back to his apartment to get paid. She agrees. They hop in a taxi. When they get there, she asks the driver to wait. Goes inside with Ichihashi.
Yeah.
And that's the last anyone sees her for a while.
The driver waited a bit, right?
He did, but eventually left. Figured she'd changed her plans. Little did he know.
Wow. Just a normal encounter turning into something awful.
It's terrifying how quickly things can change.
Yeah.
So what happened next? How'd this turn into a disappearance?
Well, Lindsay doesn't show up for work. Hours pass. Her roommates start to freak out.
Rightfully so. They knew about the lesson, had the sketch with his info. Bad feeling.
So they go to the police, report her missing.
But the police, they didn't jump right on it, did they?
Sadly, no. Sometimes it takes a while for them to treat these cases, especially with young women, with the urgency they need.
Every second counts,
Exactly. The assumption that they've just run off or whatever.
Yeah.
That lost time can be crucial.
It's frustrating.
Totally.
Okay, so eventually the investigation picks up. Police decide to check out Ichihashi's apartment.
Good.
They talk to the neighbors, and some had seen a guy matching his description acting weird.
Weird how?
One neighbor even saw him moving his bathtub from the bathroom to the balcony. Odd, right?
That's, yeah, that's pretty strange. Those little details, though, they can mean something.
The police thought so too. They called for backup, got ready to raid the place. But as they're about to go in, Ichihashi opens the door, rucksack in hand, bolts right past them.
Like he knew they were coming.
Total flight response.
Mm-hmm.
They tried to grab him, but he was too quick. Gone. Vanished into the hallways. All that was left was his rucksack.
What was in it?
Lindsay's passport.
Oh, man.
Confirmed their suspicions.
Mhm.
This wasn't just a missing person anymore. Something way worse.
So they got into the apartment then?
They did. And what they found, well, it was horrifying.
What do you mean?
Lindsay's body. In the bathtub. The one he'd moved to the balcony.
Oh, God. Not how I'd hoped this would go.
No, me neither. So what happened? How?
It was awful. She was naked, bound, buried. right there in that bathtub on the balcony, sand and soil on top.
He put her in the bathtub to hide her.
Seems that way. Trying to cover his tracks, even used stuff to, like, speed up decomposition.
Oh, jeez.
And on top of the soil, flower seeds to make it look like a planter, I guess.
Flower seeds on top of... God, that's just a contrast, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. New life on top of something so terrible. It's, I don't know, makes it even worse somehow.
You said bound. What else did they find? What happened?
Plastic ties, scarves, bruising on her body. He'd even shaved her head. The whole scene, it points to something planned, you know? Deliberate and brutal.
While that taxi driver waited outside, not knowing. It's just horrible.
It really is. Makes you think about how close, how hidden things can be.
So right then, Ichihashi's on the run. Most wanted man in Japan. His face everywhere. But he just vanished. How's that even possible? Everyone's looking for him.
He was resourceful, determined to not get caught, moved all over Japan, changed his look constantly, odd jobs, internet cafes, even lived in a concrete bunker on some island.
What bunker? Seriously.
Oh,
It's been rough on Lindsay's family. All that time not knowing, seeing him out there.
It was. They were devastated, obviously, and frustrated with the police, thought they were too slow, messed things up.
Understandably so.
They even flew to Japan themselves, you know, to raise awareness, push the investigation. Lindsay's dad, Bill, he even met with some Yakuza guys.
Wait, what? The Japanese mafia. Why would he do that?
Desperation, I guess. It's a different culture, right? He thought maybe they could help, had connections, resources the police didn't. A risk, for sure. But he was trying everything to find Ichihashi.
For his daughter.
Yeah.
That's... wow. So all this time, Ichihashi's living this shadow life. But he messed up eventually, right?
He did, and it's both shocking and, well, it kind of makes sense given what he was doing to hide. He started self-mutilating.
What, like hurting himself?
Cutting off moles, part of his lower lip, even tried to change his nose shape with a needle and thread.
Oh, God. He was losing it, wasn't he?
Paranoid, desperate, trying to erase who he was, become invisible.
And it almost worked. But he slipped up. How?
He went for plastic surgery to change his appearance even more.
Plastic surgery. Okay, makes sense, I guess, after everything else. But how did that lead to him getting caught?
Well, during that surgery, he made a mistake. One that undid everything he'd been so careful about. He let them take before and after photos at the clinic.
No way. Seriously. After all that hiding, changing how he looked, he poses for pictures. Why?
Who knows? Maybe vanity. Or thought they wouldn't matter. Huge miscalculation, though.
Yeah, no kidding. So what happened to the pictures?
The clinic, they must have known about the case. They gave the photos to the police.
Smart move.
Police released him to the public. Big gamble, but it worked.
So that's how they got him. Just pictures. Crazy.
Power of the public, right. Years of searching, and it's a couple of photos that do it.
So someone recognized him.
Yep. Ichihashi was working construction in Osaka. Colleague sees the photos. Boom, there he is.
Can you imagine? Working alongside this guy, then bam, he's on the news.
Ichihashi panicked, obviously, took off running again, headed for the ferry port, trying to get to Okinawa, like disappear on those islands again.
Still trying to run. Couldn't face what he'd done.
But this time, no luck. As he's about to board, a worker at the port spots him, calls security.
Wow, so close. Caught right as he thought he was getting away. Must have been a relief for Lindsay's family.
Bittersweet for sure. Justice, but it doesn't bring her back. The pain's still there.
Of course. So what about Ichihashi? What happened after they got him?
Charged with abandoning a body, rape, murder. Trial starts July 2011. Huge media circus, the whole world watching.
I remember that. Big questions about Japan's legal system, death penalty, all that.
In the end, life sentence.
Life. Doesn't fix things for Lindsay's loved ones, but at least there's accountability.
True. But there's more. While he was waiting for trial, Ichihashi wrote a book about being on the run, everything he did, how he felt.
A book? Seriously. What for?
Hard to say. Some people think it was him trying to understand what he'd done. Others, they say it was just to make money, control the story.
Cynical, yeah.
He even offered the money from the book to Lindsay's family, but they said no.
Wouldn't blame them one bit. Hard to imagine taking anything from the person who,
Totally. They just wanted to honor Lindsay's memory, keep her story alive.
And it is alive. This case, it gets to people. Not just the awful crime, but all the stuff it brings up. Safety while traveling, cultural differences, how someone can become a fugitive like that.
It makes you think, right? The world seems smaller these days, but there's still danger out there. People capable of terrible things. Lindsay's story, it's a tragedy, no doubt. But it also shows how strong people can be, the love of her family. fighting for her.
It stays with you, that's for sure. Makes you think about your own life, choices you make. Be aware. Pay attention.
That's the takeaway, I think. Be aware of your surroundings, of the fact that bad things can happen even when you least expect it. Maybe by remembering Lindsay, learning from this, we can try to make things safer.
Well said. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everyone. It's a tough story, but an important one. We'll be back soon with more.